Hello y'all, Christian White, the One Day at a Time Dad, back with another Listening to Learn. Today I have the pleasure of being in the company of Miss Spark herself, Miss Ayanna Bean. I want to know about the radio thing first.
Well, are we talking about the Breakfast Club?
Then and then what you're doing.
Okay, so I'll tell you the things that I'm doing now. Right now, especially with the the COVID-19 going on, a lot of things have been put on hold for later dates, or people trying to figure out how to recreate.
What did you have to put on hold?
So a lot of radio interviews that I was going on, a lot of traveling that had to stop, a couple of talk shows that I wasn't able to do because of production is being shot down and things like that. So I've been focusing on getting the book done. So a book is being written. It's going to be an autobiography, so to speak. Not really to touch on or to go after like me doing the American Gangster show, but more so a normalization of, okay, you've seen just about 20 minutes of my life.
Yes, yes, yes.
There's a whole life around that. I don't think that if you don't know me, you wouldn't know how did you become to be this person or who that person really is. It's just about what that person did, and I think what happens a lot, I mean, myself and yourself, you can understand, of course, we've been in the same places, that people automatically identify you for actions that you've taken or decisions that you've made. And it's hard to separate you from that if they don't know you.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that writing the book will give people an insight to make me a human person, and to know who I am and not just what I've done.
Now, when did you start writing the book? I started writing the book after I won't say after the show. It was something that I had been trying to do for years, but I didn't, I'm a procrastinator. I procrastinate. Like I have these big dreams. Oh, I'm gonna do this, that, and this is all you gotta do, and then I'll be like, okay. Yeah. So for years, it's something that I wanted to do, and from time to time, I would start writing. And you always intended on an autobiography. Yeah, of myself. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And after doing the show, or during doing the show, I was like, well, this is the time to get the book done. This is like the fire to burn my procrastination and be like, get this done. So that's being worked on right now, and it's almost finished. I wanted to, I'm going to say that September, it will actually be complete. I mean, it could be, editing and all that stuff would be September. That's what I'm shooting for. Yep. That's what I'm shooting for, and I'm focusing on that. Okay. Focusing on that, and then as other things come in and environment starts to change, then I can know what other parts are moving.
Has the environment lightened up at all for you to continue with the radio?
Yes and no. So yes and no, with the fact that the the different interviews that I was supposed to go on, those different interviews, now if it couldn't go to the station, then it's being done like a Zoom kind of thing.
How do you feel? How do you like doing those?
I don't like those. Yeah. I don't like those so much because I guess I'm not a techie, so I really don't know how to use it well. But I don't think that it gives you, it takes away.
The full, yes, exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah, it takes
totally
away.
Agree with that.
It takes away.
So let me ask, tell me a little bit about you. How did you grow up? Where did you grow up? What was it like?
Okay. So I grew up, well, my mother's family migrated to Boston from Birmingham, Alabama. My father's side is North Carolina, right? They all migrated to, when they came here, they met up in East Boston projects.
In Maverick? Okay.
So our families, a lot of black families, I'd say, I was just trying to talk to my aunt about this the other day. She said basically that area was all predominantly white, and there were about 6 or 7 black families that came to move into the area around that time. And that it was really tough there. So they have long life friendships, and we're all like family because they grew up in those times in that area. So I was born in '74, and then I say they lived out there in East Boston. then moved over to academies, my parents, and they got married there. And then Jamaica Plain is where they had their own place.
Okay.
But I grew up in Mattapan.
As in home ownership?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I grew up in Mattapan. I say we moved there when I was about 8. So that's why I say I grew up there, because I stayed there for many years.
What kind of a person, what kind of a girl, teenager were you?
Quiet.
Quiet?
I was quiet and sneaky. I think so. I think I was quiet, sneaky. I think I didn't know, I was trying to figure out what do I want to do? Who am I? What is there to do? What kind of person, where am I supposed to be hanging out at? I was quiet. I was going to Mecco school, right? But I lived in the hood, So there were different personalities I feel that I developed from trying to be this way and then trying to fit in here and trying to fit in there.
When did you find you?
I can't even say that I really even have done that right now. I can't really tell you that. I can tell you a majority of who I am, but I can't tell you that I know right now who I am totally in a full 360 degrees.
Understood.
I feel like I'm still learning things about myself, about others, what I like, what I really don't like. A lot of things that I may have thought I liked was probably because others liked it and I just adapted to it, So I didn't, I can't say that. It's difficult, but for the most part, I've always been outgoing. I just, laid back, but, really kind of quiet and kind of reserved, I feel like maybe, as family and friends would say, I have like this picture thing, and I'm standoffish. I don't let people all the way in like that, but I think, I'm just I'm a comedian. I like laughing and telling jokes.
Okay, liking to laugh. I just want to clarify for the viewers. Liking to laugh is not the same thing as being a comedian.
In the family, I'm one of the comedians in the family.
That's the equivalent of me singing great in the shower.
No.
No?
No. I really am one of the funniest.
Okay. I'll go with that one. Go with that one. How did you develop your passion for music, for the industry, to the point where you're like, I want to start my own?
Well, I was working at a college of the arts, and I think that I always, even as a kid, loved music. It was a big thing in our family anyway. My grandfather listened to the blues and all that stuff, so I got to hear a lot of different types of music, and I think that that's just something that's always been there, just singing, dancing, and just, around those times, that was just a thing to do. When I got older and I started working at a school for the arts, I started learning the business of music. And
intentionally?
Just, I was there. Okay. Being there, you work at an institution, you can take classes there for free. So it's like, I got into it. I got into it. And then around that time, there was a lot of industry was starting a lot around here in Boston, and I had some friends that were starting their own studio. And so it's like, wow, well, guess what, this is where I work and this is what I'm learning. And I was meeting different people and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, good. I kind of, and I liked the feel of it. I liked that it's independent. You get to, move. There's a whole bunch of different compartments to it. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can learn in different departments. If you're not an artist, if you're not a writer, if you're radio or whatever it is, or the business side of things.
So when did you decide, I'm going to be the plug?
I didn't think that that's what I wanted to be, because I didn't know what actually it was I wanted to do. But with my resources, going out and meeting people, networking, it kind of was like, oh, well, yeah, I started getting people calling me to connect them to here or there. So it was not that I was trying to be that, but the way that I was moving and doing things, it started happening.
How much actually goes into the thinking, planning, designing of having your own radio station?
There's a lot that goes into that. You have to know the business model. You have to know the technology behind that. You have to learn that technology. You can't just, and with anything, you can't just hire people to do a job for you and not know what that job is. So you need to have at least some basic knowledge of certain things so that you can connect all the dots. Then there's the funding to do everything. That's a whole nother monster. Making sure that you have your business plan right so that you can present it for sponsors, so that you can present it for grants if those are available, or business loans, or however, what type of funding that you're looking to receive. It would be nice to remain independent and not need those things, but all those components come to successfully trying to run.
So is it like, I'm just thinking of it in a non-profit kind of way. When you get a grant for music, is it like a grant for a non-profit where they dictate how they think you should be conducting your studio?
Well, it depends on what type of grant that you're getting. So some grants, you can compare that to a non-profit grant. Any grant that you receive comes with some stipulations. Any grant that you're going to get. So I would say, there's similarities to it because all grants come with some discretion.
How were you able to raise the money?
Well, when I was doing what I was doing, money was coming from regular work.
That will be a part of it. Is how much have you had to blood, sweat, tears into it versus people who noticed that and began helping out?
I can't really say there were people that helped out. I can't say that.
Is that common in the music field?
Yeah.
Really?
That's very common. I think that's why I would say this is why in the music industry, you have always, I think that's how the streets are get connected. And the streets get connected.
Yeah, explain that. I want to understand that.
I feel that if you think of different, like, artists, we'll talk about, urban music. Right? You learn in the urban music, this is people that are from your neighborhoods. What are they doing in their neighborhoods before they're trying to, or while they're trying to pursue their music dreams? Studio time costs money. T-shirts cost money. Promotion costs money. Beats cost money. So where does all that money come from? If you're not working, it's going to come from your friends and family fund. Now, if you're associated with any groups of people, if people believe in you and know you're about to blow, they want to pass you the bag. You know what I mean?
So at this point, are people passing you bags?
Nobody passed me no bags.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at it.
That's all.
I mean, somebody's passing you something. I mean,
that's old.
Hey, I don't even have.
That's the first one I've ever received.
I don't have an old or a new one.
This is the first one I've ever received. It's been a year now.
How do you deal with your mental health?
That's a big one. It's a big one. Because again, as I explained, still getting to know myself and how I've dealt with it over the years.
So let me interject. When did you realize that you didn't know yourself?
I would say, as a teenager. And I just thought, but I wasn't really so focused on trying to know myself. I was just doing. So as you get into adulthood, as a teenager, I had my first child. And then
how old were you?
17.
Okay.
And then in my early 20s, I had another one. So, there were other things that I was focusing on, not really developing me as a person, but just doing.
I feel like that's always the hardest. So I tell people all the time, like, when Christian first moved in, what suffered the most was my personal development. It suffered the most because, like you said, I just could not focus on myself.
Right, because you're focused on, you've been given this another person. Their life comes before yours, and you're making sure that they have everything that they need, and you're doing everything right for them. But one of those things you forget, that everything right for them is you being right.
Being right for you.
You know what I mean?
Like, so me and Christian have this thing where we remind each other that he could never love me more than himself. I love myself first,
right,
and then I love my son,
right,
because I have to be the best me.
You do.
And you know, I make that really clear to him. I want you loving yourself more than anybody.
Right, because that determines how everyone else will
absolutely
deal with you.
Absolutely.
But we don't learn that early.
We don't learn that early. But thankfully, we learned it
in time.
In time.
In time.
And right. Then had children young enough to teach it to them.
Right. Right.
Because it's hard trying to teach a motherfucker already grown.
Oh my goodness.
You know that. Yeah. You know that.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. What I think that I've done, what I've learned about, like when I'm reflecting, how I've dealt with mental is making everything, normalizing things that are not normal, and then making serious things into jokes. You know, like laugh so you don't cry.
Yep.
Kind of thing. So sometimes it may seem that I'm a little disconnected of things that may be traumatic. It's not that I'm disconnected from it, but I have to disconnect my mental from that because I don't know what place it'll take me.
So I think of that, and I think of that as like not even avoiding, but like it's a grounding technique in that moment. What's the next level? What's that next level look like?
The next level of
I figured out how to ground myself. I figured out how to what do I address next, to the point where maybe I see this situation and I'm looking at it and it has no effect on me.
Right. It's facing it and acknowledging it. When you continue to run, and I've run for years from things that are not normal and they shouldn't be normalized, right? But we learn to normalize these things. You know, if you come from certain families as you don't tell anything that goes outside of this house, you know, then you learn to internalize these things.
Yes.
And this develops all sorts of trauma to you.
Yes.
Not being able to talk about things or acknowledge things or even act like you know that's happened. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
So you develop that through your whole lifetime, and then it's like, whoa, no, that's not, no, I'm not, no. You know, it's like, no, I'm not doing that, because you have children now. What do you tell your kid? You tell me everything. I want to know what's going on.
Yes.
You know, because who's going to defend you? Who's going to protect you? I am.
Well, yeah. So me and Christian's mom had that conversation with him where it's like, look, we don't condone lying, but we don't give a shit if you're lying to them. Don't lie to us.
Don't lie to us, no.
Because we need that information. We're going to defend you no matter what.
No matter what.
But the more information we have, the better.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. And they should feel so comfortable.
Absolutely.
They should never feel like they can't tell you, no matter what
it
is.
So how do you as the parent remain open so they can see that you're open?
I listen. I listen. And that's the biggest tool you can use.
That's what I'm using right now.
It's
the biggest tool you can. I tell people this all the time. It's like a foreign language. It's like, just listen to what.
Just listen.
And this ain't even my son. This is anybody.
Right.
Just listen.
You know, I tell you what's so funny about that you asked me that. I received a letter the other day from James Roseman. It's Jimmy Hinchman, right? So I received a letter from him the other day, and I was reading it, and I'm like, wow, he's saying that I ignored that he asked me to text him at this text number, to send him my number. He also said that I must have also ignored when he said, I'm thinking, did I listen to what he was saying? Because I don't remember him saying this.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because I really sat and I read it without rushing to read it. That's the same as listening. He sent me a letter. What did I read? What did I read?
Agreed.
So I felt really bad that when he sent this one to me, I was reading these things like, wow, that must be frustrating to sit and take your time to write something and send it off, and then the person sends something back to you and ignored everything you asked and said. You know, and I'm thinking, how many times do I do that when I'm speaking to someone? Did I really listen to what the person said? Because 9 times out of 10, I may not have. There's something that I could have missed because I'm trying to focus on, you know, if somebody's telling me something, I'm just focusing on what the boom part is.
Yeah.
You know, but I really didn't listen to what I needed to hear. What goes along with that too is facial expressions can make someone stop talking. You know what I mean? Depending on what you're hearing, it's like, okay, you want to be open to hearing everything. Because I feel like, you know, with parents who we are today, there's not much our kids could say to us that we haven't heard before.
Yes, agreed.
That couldn't even be worse.
Agreed.
You know, and it's like, oh, please, that's nothing.
Yes.
You know, kind of thing. But again, you don't want it to wave it off like it's not anything, because to them, it's a big deal.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's hard sometimes.
Absolutely. No, I think that's like an ongoing kind of thing. Because I mean, there are certain things that are automatic for me to think about with Christian, but then other things I'm like, all right, I'm not. Let me leave this house tonight. Everyone's starting to drink. Let me get my ass home. Like that type of. Even if I'm around family, like I still think like that.
Yeah.
What kind of mom are you?
Oh God, I think I would like to say that I have been an attentive mom, and I think I've been an easy mom, and I don't think that had been great either.
So is this from conception?
Yeah. Yeah, because so for me, I have adult children now.
Yeah.
You know, and I just think about how I just let them be so free as kids, but that's because I trusted them, and because I know them, and they're with me. So I didn't worry about, you know, they did football, they did basketball. I was there, so you know, trying to keep them active and busy. Yep. We did karate school together. I know them. But when they went out of the door, I trusted that they know what to do and what not to do. And I trusted it so well that I wasn't strict about it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there was no like, well, where were you and who was you with? And, you know, like, you're going over so-and-so's house. Okay, let me call this mom. I didn't do that. I remember, so funny thinking one time, I was thinking like, wow, who does that? My son had a party. Right? And there was a lot of people there.
How old was he at that time?
He was in I want to say it was 8th grade.
Is that
maybe
11,
12?
Okay.
He had this party. And there was, I mean, the basement was full, the front and backyard was full, the deck, everything was full. And there was older kids there, and so I didn't realize what was happening here. He's a popular kid, you know. Okay. But one of his friends from school's mother came with them to bring them to the door to say, and I was thinking, why would she do that? You know what I mean? Like, I never went to do those things. I'm thinking like, wow, that made me feel like, did I miss doing something? I thought, you know, I knew who the parents were, but I didn't think to bring my son to the door, look in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all these things that are happening in the world, I didn't do that with them. You know, I just felt like if something happens or they don't feel safe somewhere, they're going to let me know. I know this.
Yes.
But I don't know. And you don't know. And I didn't. And that made me feel like, oh, man, I've been missing a step. You know, I've been missing a step. Because you can think you're doing everything. Yeah. But there's some steps to be that you could be missing steps.
I think every parent, like, so for me, like, my big thing was, well, I missed the first 9 years. I don't know. Then I started really learning and listening to other parents. We all winging it. I don't care if you're stepping at 1 week old prenatally or 40 years old. Everyone's just like feeding off of the kids' energy. What do they need? What do they want? But you're winging it.
You are.
There's
no book.
There's no book, and I did not realize that for years. Like, everybody's winging it.
You learn from other parents too. Yeah. You know, you learn from other parents. It's not easy, and you raise your kids for their whole life.
Yes.
You know, my oldest is 28. Doesn't mean he's an adult. He's an adult in age, but there's still things as a man that, you know, they develop on their own terms and from things that they've also learned from you as well. And it's, you know, it's a tough job being a parent.
It is.
It's a tough job being
especially
a parent.
On the mornings you don't want to be one.
Especially, you have to be one every day.
Especially when you don't want to be one.
You got to be one every day. It's the job you can't call out sick from. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you were called to do. And there's no days off. You know? You could block them. You can block them, yes. But there's really no days off because you'll worry about it all day. The parent guilt is like the worst guilt to have.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Do you feel any guilt from missing 9 years?
Yes. So it was funny is when I first came home, I was in a relationship, and she didn't want children. Oh, and I knew this beforehand, so I agreed. When it comes to relationships, whatever we agree on, that's it. So you know, her career was a baby, so fine. In my head, I was like, well, I need to give Chris all my time anyway. And then I'm like, then I considered having a kid just to be there from start to finish. And if that's the only reason why, then I felt like it was a little selfish on my part, but I knew it was just because I felt guilty about missing his. You know what I mean? And you know, I always tell myself it was meant to be. Had I been home at the time, it wouldn't have been healthy, whatever the case may be. But you can never get past like, damn, like he was there for 9 years and I was over here. Like it just, I try to find ways to make, and even that, like you can't make up for it.
Right.
But so I tell myself, when I came home, he was 8.5. I won't even feel like our lives begin until he's 17 and whatever, 17 and a half.
Because you're still like trying to making up for 9 years.
Yes, I need those 8. I need to be out 8.5 years in his life active before me and him can even begin. And that's not realistic. That's what you think. That's what I tell myself. Yeah, that's how when I go into that, I don't get depressed anymore. But when I go into that, like doubting myself a little bit, you know, I always question myself as a parent. That's what I think about when I start getting really like, oh, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And there was some points throughout the time where his mom would kind of push that, you know, you weren't there. Yeah. I need to be making this decision, but then I started understanding like, I'm here now.
Yeah.
I need to be involved in everything
now. Yeah.
Everything.
That's good that you know, because even having your kid the whole time, you still have parent guilt.
Yep.
You know, so.
And y'all see how she's switching this interview, right? This is what she does. This is why I'm just flowing with it.
Because parent guilt is something, because I'm wondering, like, for you missed 9 years.
You want to know what I actually feel guilty about? But then there's times I'd be like, fuck it.
What?
Is trying to keep up with every school email.
Oh God, why?
I'd be like, am I missing something important? And then I'd be like, I literally erase them before opening them.
Can you imagine when it wasn't email and then the kids come home with their book bag stuffed with paper?
Hey, so Christian, Oh, I know. All I'd be like is, Christian, I only want to see something I have to sign. Right. That's it. All that other progress report, you better be fucking doing good. It's overwhelming. Just for me, I stepped into parenthood as opposed to being there from the start, and it was just like the only thing that saved me was that I had done so much mental health work on myself.
That's good.
Otherwise, I would not have been able to cope with it.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't have happened.
That's good that you acknowledge that, though, because people won't. You know, it takes learning.
Yeah, it definitely takes relearning. Oh.
Yeah.
What was your examples of a mom and a dad?
Oh boy. Well, I have and I shouldn't say it like that, like it was bad. It was not bad. But I want to know how it was for you. For me.
I don't forget how it looks in anybody. I want to know how you interpreted it.
For me, my parents were young parents, and it just seemed fun. It was fun between my parents. Like I remember hanging down Christian Science Center down there, going to the malls, walking out, doing everything with them. My father riding me on his 10-speed bike to my bus stop. Those were
How old was that? You remember that?
I remember that. Those are my favorite times. I tell anyone all the time, because him and my mother never drove, you know? And my father would ride me on his 10-speed bike to my bus stop through the rain, snow. He put a trash bag on me, you know, things like that. We had good times, I want to say. I felt we had good times. My parents did divorce, and there was abuse started happening some years into it. I always did, though, also have 2 sets of grandparents that are married, homeowners, loving family in the household, too. So I had a lot of different support systems and things that I could see. So I knew, well, this isn't just what this is. That, you know, it's many other things.
How important is it to have different perspectives, healthy supports? Just like, I just think of like how I grew up, and like my mind was literally just so boxed in because I only experienced very few things. But no, I love hearing that, especially like the home ownership. Like I think it's important for kids, anyone to see those examples.
It's really important because, like I said, they were poor families, you know, or maybe they were considered middle class at some point back then. But they were in the projects. I know we were in the projects, several different projects. And look what they were able to do. Both of my grandparents still married. Projects, home ownership, still married. One grandparent, one family has 11 children. The other has 8. You know? And can you imagine? Right now with your one doing everything they did with all those kids, bringing them along that ride, you know, still struggling but didn't give up. Because if we go back to mental, that's already mentally challenging, just seeing that picture of 2 parents, or, you know, 2 parents or one carrying 11 kids, 8 kids from place to place, or making room for that many people in one project apartment. How many bedrooms would be in there?
3 or 4 at most.
You know what I mean?
No doubt.
If we had to get 11 pairs of Jordans, you know, things like that. People did it. People are doing it, and people have done it, and I'm glad that I was able to see that. You know, I believe in God, you know, and I feel that things will happen for you. You just keep at it, don't give up. Sometimes you may take a pause, you know, you might have to take a breath because you've been fighting against the grain, and it gets tiring, but just don't flat out give up. You continue to go for it, and it will happen for you. Things will happen for you. True living person that I can tell you right now, just come from my grandparents' house. They're still married. You know, they're still married. They're elderly. They're both struggling with health. But they're still there. They're still there. They're still with us, and they're still together. And they've raised 8 children and have triple times that in grandkids. You know, I have parents that are divorced.
What age did they divorce?
Probably when I was about between 6 and 8.
Okay.
Yeah, between 6 and 8.
Now, do you remember that having any impact on you?
It had a lot of impact on me.
In what way?
It's affected me even to this day.
In what way?
Feeling abandonment, and not to say that my father abandoned me or that my mom felt abandoned.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I mean, and that's where you have to start from.
I felt abandoned by them because they weren't together, and then I went to I like to stay at my grandmother's house a lot.
I'm curious, were you angry at one parent as opposed to the other?
No.
Okay.
No. I think I was angry at both of them.
Got it.
But my mother got all the anger because I was with her.
You know what? I want to piggyback off that right now, because so many moms and dads say to me, "That other one's not here. How do they love them more?" And a lot of times it's because they're not there.
That's why.
Yeah. it's because they're not there. They didn't have the chance to
give them the
yes.
You know?
Yes.
I gave it to my mom. You know, I gave it to my mother for, you know, a lot because you know what I did? I think I used guilt trips on her.
Probably.
For that. And I'm sure
Probably.
that I did. You know, it's kind of like...
That's what a smart kid does.
Feel bad for me.
Yes.
Woe is me.
That's what a smart kid does.
And that wasn't fair to her because, gee, did I even think about the fact that what she went through and everything?
I would argue that it wasn't even your job to think about that.
Right. It wasn't.
Your job was to be a kid, no matter what's going on.
Right.
No matter what's going on.
But I didn't think that.
So the ways that we seek attention, love, whatever... It's almost like all is fair.
Right.
When you're a kid doing that, all is fair. Like you still have needs, you still have you still have to be developed.
Right.
So it makes total sense to me.
I think that it stunted my growth a lot because even now in this age I still am stuck in a place back there. You know, so that's why I say I'm not truly who I would be. Like if I was truly who I would be, that means that I would have accepted, acknowledged, and healed from all things. I like haven't. That. You know, I haven't. So that's a work in progress. And that can happen for your whole life.
So how do you establish your routine, feel comfortable and safe in it, but still remain open to being more a better version of yourself?
Acknowledging. You know, I acknowledge. I don't sweep it under the rug, act like it's not there, act like I don't remember. I acknowledge it. I face it. You got to come head on with it. You can't run from, you know, that's like if your neighbor has a dog and you're scared of dogs, so you're not going to walk past their house, you're going to keep crossing the street. And
think about it. Some people will do that pattern for years.
Forever.
To the point where that family moved out a long time ago.
And you still can't
And you're
walk.
Still crossing the street when there's no dog there.
Because you're carrying it.
You're carrying it. That's how we establish our own patterns.
That's right. So I would say that it's just like that. So I face things now. Like, you know, some things I may not face it right then and there, but it takes a little bit of time. But I have faced everything. Not everything. I have acknowledged everything, and there's a lot of things that I still need to face. You know, I need to go into battle with those things so that it can be over and be healed.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing with myself right now. You know?
Well, you're doing a whole lot right now. It's more than that. Where do you hope to go with your radio station?
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. And I tell you why, because the things that I think of doing and the things that I plan, again, like I said, I don't know. There's procrastination, still working on that, right? There is fear.
Yes.
You know, and that holds you.
Fear of what?
Fear of failure or not knowing what you're doing.
Do you feel like you're successful already?
I feel that you know what? I'm glad you asked me that.
I'm glad I did too.
Because
I'm starting to get good at that.
You're good. I'll tell you what I realized. Like, you know, we were talking about before we put the camera on, about sitting back and reflecting on things, you know, and it's easy to. You could do something for someone 100 times, say yes 100 times. The one time you say no, your friendship's over, right? You're the worst person.
Yep.
Okay. Why do we reflect more on the bad things that have happened to us, or the bad things we did, or the things that we didn't successfully complete, and whatever the successful part is? Then we focus on, wow, no, I am kind of dope.
Yes.
You know, I really did do that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really me. Why is that less than?
You want to know what's so interesting? So growing up, I had major self-esteem, self-value, self-worth issues. And as I began to address them, I started understanding that the world around me was trying to tell me how much I was worth. And for me, in my world, because I was system involved, it came through loud and clear by how hard the ADA was trying to smoke me. It made me real. When I think about my interactions with detectives, blue and whites, with homicide, when they would be on the block, with anybody, I didn't understand why out of the crowd of 20 they would come to me. What made me more hot than everyone else? You know, we're all out. What made me more hot? Then I started understanding that they were looking at my mind. They were looking at the way I inspired people.
You were a leader.
I didn't know that.
Right.
But they did.
Because people followed.
They did.
And that's what they saw.
And so from their side of the fence, their understanding is, if he truly is a leader within this world, we need to get him out of here. So I saw in that a worth in myself that I hadn't noticed before. I started seeing that leadership. Why are they coming after me? Then I start looking at my family, and when they would always be like, if you get it together, if you get it to, like, you just don't know, if you get it together. And then I started really reflecting on it, like, wow, all this time so much has been telling me how much I'm worth, all that. I mean, I have to internalize it at this point.
You weren't listening.
I weren't listening.
You weren't listening.
I wasn't listening.
Do you feel that did you feel that anyone was following you? Did you feel you had that power for people to follow you ever?
Yes.
You knew it. You knew how to do it.
Do you want to know when I knew it?
Tell me, because I'm interested in this.
I'll never forget. So I was about 6 years old. I was living on Calumet Street over by Mission Hill, and we got a dog, a little German Shepherd named Mika, and we got her trained. She was going to be a guard dog, all that. We got her trained. But so for as long as I can remember, two things have never changed. Kids and animals love me. It's always been that way. Okay. And so our dog, even though she was a family dog and trained, she always came to me. Always came to me. And I would sick her on my siblings and sick her on my dad, and you know, and she listened to you. She would listen to me. But I realized it was no different when I was hanging with people. I realized that. I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but later on that I look at it, I can see that persuasiveness, that what...
Did you feel like it was manipulation back then? Did you feel that I'm manipulating someone, or did you just...
Yes.
Okay, so...
There were times when I absolutely knew that I had a goal in mind. I don't give a fuck if it was an hour later. Right. I will lead you across that street to get hit by that car to free up that space so I could get that now later. Yes, so I would say half and half of the time that I knew like what I was doing. The only thing I would push back on is, even though I know what I was doing, within the toolkit that I had, there were so few options. Either option would have been looked at as wrong. Okay. Like for many years, I only had wrong tools in my toolbox.
Because what's the anomaly of that is manipulation is like low level. Right.
Well, I mean.
Well, no.
Yeah. The connotation of it. Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Manipulation. Where you were in that time when you knew you were manipulating someone, right? But had you knew at that was actually, you felt that was a powerful tool at the time. You had the power to do this. But if you recognized that it wasn't manipulation that the power was in, it was leadership, then you would have been. Yes. That's the.
So
that's why I said that low level.
I think the difference. I think the difference between low level thinking on that level and the higher level thinking is how far you're seeing the bigger picture, how far you're seeing ahead.
Because leadership is the most powerful, but that leadership. It's not manipulation, but it's knowing how to put things together so that people can. Understand and come with you.
Absolutely.
Manipulation is the same thing, but it's not made to be good.
If I'm manipulating, if I'm manipulating you, then I'm robbing you of your choice.
Right.
If it's under a leadership umbrella and I'm showing you a particular way that you can study and choose to go with or not,
for better,
then there's no robbery there.
Right.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So
totally
you know,
agree.
that's one thing that I would say, like, you know, the manipulation isn't where the power's at. But if you don't,
She jacked my whole interview.
I just try to nerd.
She jacked my whole interview. I'm asking this question. This is the last question. God damn it. But no, seriously, honestly, where do you see the future for music in Boston?
You know what? The future of music in Boston is escalating every year. I mean, a long time ago, it wasn't, you know, that's why people from Boston are always out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's always out of town. Everybody knows the same people out of town. You know, they always leave, they always go. But there is so much music industry here now that it's crazy.
Is one of your hopes with your station to promote this?
Of course, you know, a tool.
Yes.
All the radio stations, podcasts, all of these things are tools of marketing and promoting for artists, for producers. It's all, you know, all these marketing tools are needed, because how many urban radio stations do you have in Boston? There was a time there was only Kiss 108.
Yeah. Wait, how long has 88.9 been out?
Jeez. 88.9, that WERS?
Yeah.
Right. And have you listened to it in a while?
No, I used to listen.
Because they've stopped playing.
Oh, so when I used to listen to them, it was 95, 96.
Yeah.
And it would be like, I was in prison for murder at the time, but I used to wake up every Sunday morning between either 5 and 7 or 6 and 8. And it would be I remember the woman's voice. I was so attracted to her voice.
Was it,
It was something Wins, like the name of the program.
There was a Cherry Martinez.
Was it Cherry? Was it Cherry way back then? It could have been.
I don't know.
But I remember she had but it was maybe it was called Crosswinds. Maybe it was
Crosswinds, I think.
Okay, but
it was Crosswinds.
But yeah, I remember that being an urban station.
On Sunday.
Yeah, on Sundays, and
they don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Oh.
They don't do it anymore. A lot has changed, but a lot has changed for the better also. You know, there's a lot more open lines of communication here. There's a lot more opportunity. You know, when online started, that opened up a whole nother playing field for people.
So let me ask. Let's say I have young people, because I noticed a pattern through the interviews when I interview some of the young people involved with music. Do you think the city could benefit by an official sort of program where funds were given to studios and stations so these young kids could come in and express themselves?
I think that people who have these tools, radio, whatever, all the things that you said, if they had the funding to offer that to our youth so that they can learn the business of music, and to excel in what their talent is, that would be a plus to the community.
And what I like what you said is the separation of the love you have of something and the actual business side of it.
That's the point.
So one thing that I've noticed in almost all of the interviews is there tends to be a separation of organized thinking versus disorganized thinking. I grew up disorganized, which so many in the streets do. Yeah, most of us do. And then a lot of people who turned out to be more successful tended to be able to switch kind of into a structured way of thinking.
Right.
For a young man or woman who's involved in the streets but trying to get out, and music is their passion, they love the music, they don't really know much about the business part. How do you go about explaining to them how, first of all, how diverse and broad the music industry first of all is? Most people don't become singers and rappers, and how would you talk to them to let them know, like, it's bigger than what you think? I can help you along this path. It's going to be choices of yours to make, because you can't bring that shit here.
Right.
How do you go about talking to people like that?
What I have always done, there's like a couple of books that I myself used to learn the music business myself. I've read just about as many, I don't know how many.
Do you have a favorite book for that?
I do have a favorite. It's called the Music Law. It's by Nolo Books, and it's called Music Law. and how to run your band or something like that. It's 2 kind of sentences. The reason why out of all the books I read, the reason why I like that one is because it's easy to read, has the diagrams, shows you the connecting of the dots of management, marketing, promotion, band, contracts, all those connecting of the dots.
So let's say I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
Are there people in Boston that I can go to and take on as mentors?
Yeah. There are. A lot of people you can take on as mentors.
Okay.
In different aspects of the music business to learn, because this is what the problem is. You're an artist. An artist is a business.
Yes.
So you have to know how to run yourself.
Good. I mean, it makes sense. Good point. You
don't just go in and spit on the mic. You don't just go do, okay. So if you're a business, do you know that you going to the recorder student is part of a business tax write-off? That's what you need to complete your job as an artist. You also need to complete your job as an artist when you're traveling from place to place. That's there's things you need to know who you are as a business and which components link to you. How do you connect the dots to me? Okay, I'm an artist, I have a manager, I have a publicist, I have, who do you have? Who's your team? Who's a part of your business? That's like if you were running a school, you got the principal, you got the janitor, everyone has there's pieces. And in order for you to get from one level to the next, you are the person who needs to know how those pieces are going to fit for your business.
So how often do you take that time to think for yourself about those specific kinds of things?
Me, myself?
Yeah.
All the time.
Okay.
All the time. I always look at the business side. See, I love the business side of things. And so I always look at the connecting of those dots. And because when you go out, there's so many stories out there now. I feel like in 2020, you got the Bobby Brown story, you got New Edition story. If that didn't teach you how you need to have your business in order,
we didn't have the Ayanna Bean story till today. So I mean, look,
you can't be in the music business right now and not know that it doesn't matter what happened back then. You still need to make sure your paperwork is in order.
Got it.
Even if you think this might not go anywhere, this is just nothing. Guess what? What if it does?
Yeah.
Because even artists that are major artists, there's a single that they chose that they thought that's the one.
Yes.
But guess what? That one didn't work. Something else did. Say it's not copywritten. Say you're not listed as the owner of it. Okay, well, you don't own it.
You know what's so funny? And it comes across all the time. I notice with beats where dudes don't own the beat and they want to send you a track and it's like, why am I listening to something a cappella? Why? Because that beat's copywritten. You can't use it.
You can't use it.
Yeah.
Right. So just knowing that those things are important.
You know what? Now hearing you say that, I think I'm gonna try to make a effort to where, people who are into the music and stuff are reached out, because I feel like most of them are just cypher rappers. They're just rappers. They just want to spit it.
You need to tell them. What I always say to someone, well, if that's all you do, I don't think that you think that you're worth anything, really. How serious are you really? Are you just doing it to do it? Or do you really believe in yourself that something could happen from this?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you're not going to take care of your business. But if you think so, you're going to take care of your business.
Yes, that's a really good point. Yeah,
people can tell, yeah, you're really good. You're in the studio, I'll bring you down, you'll do beats, whatever. Okay, now you go do that. There's someone that believes that you're good. Are you believing what they're saying, or do you really think so?
No, you're absolutely right.
You need to get your business in order. There's no way you can't right now. There's Google, there's online. There's so many tools available to you right now. These things weren't available to people before. That's why seemed so much harder, and people needed more resources. But right now, you can reach people through it. You can reach these people
you can
now.
Reach across the world.
Yeah. And there's all sorts of platforms for you. Don't put your stuff on no platform and it's not copywritten.
Yes.
Do you even know if something gets played on radio, how you get paid from it? These are the things that you don't know.
And agreed. And agreed. One last question. How important is a healthy mentor?
It's very important because as we talked about leadership, manipulation, if someone has an unhealthy mind, right? What did we learn from that? That's manipulation.
Yeah.
But if someone is there, right, or getting there, or that's where they're thinking, they want to lead you. They want to be a leader. They want you to, their success comes from your success.
Yes.
Not the other way around. Not going to pick up no now blade and run across the street.
That shit is good though. Young lady, young lady, she's older than me. Thank you very, very, very much.
No, I appreciate it.
Next week, she gets to do it back to me, even though she hijacked this one.